Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between and beyond, and welcome to the 9th episode of Meadows. It's crazy that we already come so far. And with the last episode from Crazy Cat Mary, I can do it too with a quick and dirty episode. Unfortunately, it will be quick and dirty. And quick dirty is my lifestyle. Okay, joke aside. Because I have also to admit at this point that I don't have the motivation to make very elaborate videos anymore, and so far then I'm going through a phase in my life where I'm happy to take care of other things like my health, my job and friends, and that doesn't mean that the project isn't close to an end for now or it's not important for me. Don't get me wrong, Meadows is deep in my heart. Yeah, and to the other side, with every episode I feel that we are unfortunately getting closer to an end, which I find it really sad. But as I said, it's also quite good because the map still has a bit left, and I think we'll be finished with the park in the summertime, maybe in July. But you can also see the performance is relatively laggy and struggly, and it's really hard to continue using and editing the save file, and we don't want the park to crash completely. And currently, I've deleted all the dinosaurs and left only the large sauropods for the background sound and the current dinosaur, which I will show you in today's episode. And I'd also like to take a moment to respond what Crazy Cat Mary built. You know, I'm a huge fan of her modular construction and her dedication and history in designing the landscape and so on, and once again she managed to fit such a huge attraction into a somewhat smaller space, and I'm absolutely happy. And yeah, it is wow, it is, yeah, I know it's a little bit copied from my animal houses, but I think copy is the highest compliment you can give, and she did a really good job. And the architecture in English, architecture is really pretty, and I love how the build fits into the park, and it doesn't feel too massive. It's elegant and functional at the same time, and you can really see how much effort and love for detail went into it. And I like the wooden house the most because it looks really pretty, and I think it's one of my highlights in this park. And I also think all the terraces and extensions or expansions here with what you can see of the animal houses are really cool. And as a different heights, differences too, it is wow. I just think she managed to integrate such much aesthetics and realism into such a small space. And she took it even further by adding her own ideas, like the small terraces, the different height levels, the stairs, and all the ways that the guests can observe the animals from multiple angles. And those detail touches, like the named signs and layout, really deserve praise. I truly appreciate the effort she put into that. Yeah, and I already mentioned in another episode that we are both slowly thinking about the end and how we want to continue working together. And we want to start merging our work more, and that means as you'll see later, I already prepared the area a little bit for her, and I hope she can use it for advantage into the next episode. But I've also spontaneously built also for her a small self-constructed viewing gallery, and I'm hoping she like it and take on it. And you see this gallery later in the episode, more to the end. I will start also combining our ideas and working much more closely together than before. And I'd also like to say again how cool I think it is that we've been working on this project for over 6 months, and I've learned so many great things, and I'm very proud to be working with Crazy Cat Mary. She is so cool. Yo, okay, I admit I've been pestering her again and again with the idea that we should perhaps integrate 2 very special dinosaurs from Africa so that we have another theme in the park and another highlight, and thanks to my charming powers of persuasion. I will show a herbivore from Africa today, and I hope she will then include the appropriate carnivore in the next episode. And so the idea is born with the African section, and I call it Gondwanaland. Or Gondwanaland? A nice break in our park with two very iconic creatures and the main theme, is in this case the sail. I start thinking about how to shape the space, where the paths could go, how the enclosures might be fit in, and how we can connect this area smoothly with the rest of the park. And now it was mostly about planning and getting a creative starting point. And then the creative brainstorming first began. And then I thought about where I could start and where I could integrate my enclosure, and then I thought about how it would be this area here. And I also want our areas to be connected to each other via another path, and so after countless attempts I decided to put the enclosure here in this section, and hopefully Crazy Cat Miri will continue working on the other side that I prepared for her. And and this episode focused on a very special herbivore that I personally really like, and it's the Ouranosaurus. And I found a beautiful mod with a pretty model that gives a fantastic look, with its impressive sail and those colorful skins, and he walks on two legs. And looks kinda similar to the Prehistoric Kingdom version. And I knew right away that I wanted to include this dinosaur in this park here. And it's a pleasure for me to include the most of my favorite dinosaurs here, but unfortunately we haven't enough space for all our favorites. And so I'm glad that Ouranosaurus is still in here. And so I started several times trying different ideas and thinking about what kind of enclosure could really suit it. And then the idea hit me. Why not build a large ship as the main theme? We have this main ship from another decoration mod. An enclosure designed to look like an old overgrown shipwreck. The nature had taken it over and had become part of a landscape, so with the ship. And I was also thinking, I really love this concept and wanted to see how I could bring it to life. And after trying a few other ideas, I ended up deleting everything and starting from scratch with the shipwreck and so. And I realized that I really wanted to stay loyal to the style of this park here, with all the white items, the glass and the concrete. And I think it creates a beautiful contrast with the colorful trees. And when you, as a guest, walk through the park, most areas are filled with strong orange and red tones in the nature. And then, in contrast, these white walls, the glass elements so stand out. And I like it. And so I'm loyal to my style, and I will work on it with these items, I mean. And so I decided to take a bit of inspiration from Crazy Cat Miri, and I looked at the facade of the sauropod house, and then I just started playing around with the white items and the glass panels. And my goal was to create a large panoramic window that lets to look you into a completely different world, a tropical landscape with palm trees, water, thick vegetation. And I wanted to give a slight Indiana Jones vibe, where it feels like you're discovering something hidden or mysterious. And that little sense of adventure was something I really wanted to capture in this enclosure. And since I placed this large ship in the enclosure with these big sails, and I thought it was such a fun idea, especially for our Ouranosaurus, who also has a sail on its back. And I really like this connection. A dinosaur with a sail living next to a ship with a sail. Okay. I think you know what I mean. And spontaneously I added also the Biosyn viewing gallery to the back of the ship. And I thought it looks nice. So modern and old. Why not? It felt like the perfect match. This modern glass-covered platform placed at the end of the old ship, almost as if the ship had been updated and turned into a proper observation point for the guest. And I thought, I'm clever with this idea, let me know. Please let me know what do you thinking about this connection, or this match, I mean. And I think it's really, really nice. And finishing the rest of the enclosure was really relaxed for me. And I wanted to create a tropical feeling with a mix of different trees, lower plants, and a few palm trees placed on both sides of the large ship. And then I started thinking about the practical side. Then the zookeepers need access, of course. And so I built a larger keeper building with a ramp so they can drive in and out easily with their vehicles. And this kind of enclosure definitely needs, so I think, special care, especially with all the exotic plants growing here. And so I thought a bigger zookeeper house would be a good idea. And yeah, on the rest of the enclosure, for the fencing, I used a strong wooden fence for the first all around the area, but in many places I covered up with a decorative item to make it a little feel more aesthetical and look better, so forth. And yeah. And across from the large panoramic window, I wanted the guests walking here on this way and had a little glimpses into this wild, mysterious world. And so I interrupted the fans completely in a few spots and replaced it with glass panels. And yeah, this way, so the people can look inside and feel the sense of adventure. So hopefully, when you see the shipwreck and some little ruins, and so yeah, I like this. And there was just one problem: the area behind the ship, where there's a small hill behind it. And at first I tried to cover it with different rocks and some vegetation, but I just didn't like how it looked. And I kept thinking about what I could do differently, but none of my ideas really worked. I'll be honest, I got a bit frustrated. And before I started testing random things and maybe ruin the build I already like, I decided to ask Crazy Cat Miri. And maybe she has a good idea for how to make this park look more complete and interesting. And so have a brainstorm together, and I sent it over the save file, and I'm so thankful that I asked her, because just one day later I got the save file back and I couldn't believe what she had created. And we had a quick chat and agreed that we wanted a bit more of an exotic vibe in this area for both enclosures, and she turned it into here on this place here into an entrance of a mysterious pond, and even managed to add a waterfall, and it was so yes. I'm just so grateful for this amazing highlight, and I don't know why, but I personally struggled to build with that much detail in such a small space like this here, and she just did it perfectly. And now it has these super cool pirate treasure and tomb raider vibes, and honestly I think it's one of the most beautiful themed enclosures in this whole park, and I like these eye-catcher thing here with the tomb, with this entrance here. And I think this area is really clever designed in general, with all the rocks and the layer planting. And right over here I placed the entrance to the Biosim platform, and it's just it's more a symbolic entry point for the guests. I know it's not combined, but I think you see the vision. That's the entrance to this platform, to this wrecked ship here. So yeah, and this episode is a little shorter than usual, but I'm totally okay with that, and I've already been thinking a bit about what I want to do with some of the smaller areas nearby, but honestly nothing really clear comes to mind yet, and I think that's fine. We don't always need to build something huge in every episode or force anything. Sometimes less is more. And I still hope you enjoyed this episode and found it entertaining, even we focused mostly on one enclosure in this episode and the decoration around it. And I also made a few small changes to the surrounding decoration, and I also added a big sign, and you can see it here, Gone Wonderland. And heck yeah, I really like the flair of this sign so much. And that idea was also actually inspired by Crazy Cat Miri, and I saw something similar in her build with the raptor house, and I thought I really liked it, and so I tried something like this here too. And yeah, the problem is for now there's no matching sign. Sorry for my English. On the other side when you walk past like a guest here, but I think that's okay for now, and I like this banner here. And yeah, I feel like I've made good use of this area now, and I think guests will notice that they're entering a very special part of the park, and where they can discover some unique and interesting dinosaurs. And finally, I briefly talk about the other little gallery that I built quite spontaneously. I like this view here, as you can see, for the guest from above and below, through the glass panes into the future enclosure. And I asked Miriam if she liked it, she can continue editing or she can delete it. And apart from that, I really couldn't think of anything else that I could or wanted to do. And maybe it's a good thing to hold me back sometimes. And I think this nice enclosure with the surrounding is still enough for this episode. And yeah, thanks guys for watching today this episode, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, even though it was a bit more calm and relaxed and shorter than usual. And yeah, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you liked the most of this episode. And of course, I'd love to see you again in the next one, and maybe we see the addition to this section here in the next episode by Crazy Cat Miri. And stay tuned and stay inspired, guys, and yeah, bye bye.